Good afternoon. It's once again 5:30 on this Friday, and this is your host, Danny Davis. As I indicated, I am delighted to be here and to have the opportunity to share information and also to learn things from you, the viewers. I did have a good time last week. I indicated I was going to Arkansas last Friday night. I did, and I went to the event on Saturday that I was scheduled to do, and people were very nice and kind and surprised me. They gave me the key to the city of Little Rock, and the governor gave me a present, a wonderful, wonderful book all about Arkansas. And so I like that. I enjoyed it. I also had indicated last week, for the last 2 weeks, that I would have information regards to removing a Supreme Court justice. Well, here it is. Although an appointment to the United States Supreme Court is a lifetime appointment, the U.S. Constitution includes language that allows a justice to be impeached and forcibly removed from office. Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution states, and I quote, "The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior." However, Article 2, Section 4 states, "The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors." Because federal judges are considered civil officers, they are subject to this rule. Article 3 mentions good behavior of judges without defining it. According to the Congress.org website, produced by CQ Roll Call Group, this is taken to mean that the reasons for impeachment of a federal judge aren't limited to criminal acts. The impeachment process begins in the House of Representatives with passage of articles of impeachment by a majority vote. The articles of impeachment state specific allegations of wrongdoing. The second step in the process is a trial in the U.S. Senate on allegations. To convict someone who has been impeached, 2/3 majority vote is required by the Senate. If convicted by the Senate, the accused is immediately removed from office. The Federal Judicial Center lists federal judges who have been impeached by the U.S. House of Representatives. No Supreme Court justice has been convicted and removed, and only one has been impeached. The House impeached Justice Samuel Chase in 1804. The impeachment accused him of basing court decisions on political bias and misconduct. The Senate acquitted Chase in 1805, and he returned to duty. National Archives transcript of the Constitution of the United States. Congressional organization. Can Supreme Court justices be impeached? The Federal Judicial Center impeachments of federal judges. These are the references from which this information is drawn. So I think we have our answer. And now we can go right to the phone. Yes, caller, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Connie Davis?
I am doing good, James. How are you?
Okay, now this is what I believe. Now, I believe Donald Trump is behind that, and I think some of these politicians here in Chicago, I think they with Donald Trump on that. What's going to happen to Obama now? I think some of these politicians were on with Donald Trump. What's going to happen to Obama and Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton, and the other people. And I think some of the politicians here is with Donald Trump on that.
Well, there are always people undercover, and sometimes they come out of cover. And then there are people who support Donald Trump. They support the positions taken by the president, and they also support the actions of the president. But I don't think we have too many elected officials in Chicago or Illinois, for that matter, who are willingly talking about Donald Trump. Republicans in the state have been spot on with Trump in terms of voting for his measures, and I think there are a couple or so of them who are experiencing difficulty getting reelected.
Okay, what I'm trying to say about that threat against Obama now and Hillary, I think they in on it too. That's what I'm trying to say, Connie Davis.
I think you probably are correct. I mean, you never really totally know until individuals reveal themselves, and when that happens, then you know that they are in support of President Trump or they are opposed to President Trump.
Because I think there's more to it.
Yeah, there may be. There may be, but we are a country where we believe in people having the ability and the authority as well as the right to make whatever decisions they make. And they're theirs, but the majority will rule. So thank you very much, James. We enjoy your positions, and thank you for calling. All right, we'll go right to the phone and take our next caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, Congressman, listen, it's a great day to be on God's green earth, and thank you so much for your research. I overheard something of that nature. The only bad thing that I see that they probably can't not do is the treason with the Supreme Court guy. But you know what? Let me tell you something. They've been trying to impeach Donald Duck. You know, that's going to be the thing coming up soon. You know, people been saying all along, this gentleman do not act like any other president have ever been. I don't know anything about George Washington, but I never heard them saying some of the things that this president do. Now the thing is, people need to get out and vote. That's automatically. It's not just the duck, but his people that support him, the base. He riles up people, and you bring back that old Ku Klux Klan area, you know, blacks against the black and people against people. You know, it's a shame we're living in the year 2018. And people show how much hatred there is in this world of ours, that we just want civilized people living on God's green earth. We the same squirrel up in the tree trying to get a nut. You're trying to survive and live, take care of your family, prosperous, do things that people normally do. The sad thing I heard someone else say today, don't be surprised, this man going out of office, he could get him out, let him go out of prison. You know what? I can imagine if he don't get in office this next term, and this is a Democratic Party all the way around, what people that was his base gonna say about that? They gonna want to complain about this. It seems like it's never a ending situation. People, please, please, if you're listening to our congressman, we need to learn to get along together. We need to quit accepting hatred. We need to learn to just say hello, good morning. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but when it get to a point where you want to hurt somebody or scare somebody, that's where the problem's at. And then the duck that's at the highest office, he don't have sense enough to condemn it, even to say, I'm sorry things happen and woo, woo, woo. Only thing he know how to talk about is, he said he didn't even see his name on the truck, on the van. I didn't see my picture on the van. I mean, unless he was suntanning or something, he couldn't see it. But again, whether he saw it or not, other people saw it, and I'm quite sure other people mention it. Again, Mr. President, what you're doing is totally wrong. One day, you're going to have to answer to that man upstairs. When you come from him, what you going to get to him? You fired? Man, you're going to really have it one day. Listen, Congressman, we know one thing for sure. You one hell of a guy. We totally appreciate you. You honest. Look at what you just did. You've been saying you was going to do something, and you did it. As long as I was seeing you, that's what you do. You do what you say. You stand on it. This man only stand on hatred. So again, I don't have no respect for him as a president. I got to respect him because he's a human being. But again, he's not mine. So listen, Congressman,
All right.
thank you so much, you and Crystal. Y'all always there for us, and we want to be there for you. Listen, if you ever need me, I'm there for you, and I'm a Southside man. Just give me a call, and I promise you I'll be there. So listen, let me get out there because I know as many other people need to speak to you. I want to thank you so much again for doing what you did. It's very, very nice to have someone to do that. Maybe we can find trees. I don't know what we could find on them, but they both need to get out of there. Thanks for taking the call. Let me get out there so I can hear your response.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate those comments. And, of course, it means that we don't have to speculate. We know that it is very challenging and very difficult to impeach a president or impeach a justice of the Supreme Court. Doesn't mean that people won't try. It does not mean that there aren't a lot of people who would love to see it happen. But it just simply means when you start talking about supermajorities, you're not talking about just a simple majority. You're not talking about 51 members. You're talking about 60. And so supermajorities are far more difficult to come by. Well, voting is upon us. It's time to kind of get off the pot and do. And so talking about it doesn't necessarily make it happen. But you got to be willing to go out and pull that chain or punch that number or write in that name. Whatever it is that you have to do, we need to make sure that we vote. Let me also mention our community newspapers and how important they are. In my hand, I am holding, of course, the Austin Weekly, and on the front page it says Fred Hampton's boyhood home saved for now, which really means that the $14,000 that we talked about last week that they had to come up with. They ended up getting the stay of execution, or I guess of having to give up the keys until a time beyond this Monday, which was the time that the money had to be in. But I will report that a large number of people convened Monday night, I believe, the early part of the week. And I think they are going to convene again, and we will meet again as we try and continue to generate the money. I want to thank Westside Bill for bringing $100 by my office to put in the kitty. And that's what people do. People just kind of, whatever they've got, they give a little bit of it. And they give a little bit of it. And a little bit keeps adding up. And it becomes the amount that you really need. I detect another caller? If not, I will proceed with some other information. It's real interesting. It seems as though the rappers who have been talking are willing to do much more than talk. I understand that Chance and Kanye West are both supporting a young lady, Mara Inya, for mayor. And they've both contributed to her campaign. What do you think about that? You think that the young people are headed towards a victory in terms of saying that we're tired of older people making certain kinds of decisions and not understanding what we think and how we feel? And so they're saying that they're going to take matters into their own hands. I see where another candidate mentioned that she is going to run. Her name is Reverend Lisa Brown. She's the pastor of Walking in the Shekinah Glory Global Ministry at 5816 West Chicago Avenue. And so Reverend Brown indicates that her qualification puts her in the position to do this. She has a PhD degree from Columbia Southern University. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from Norwood University and a Master of Arts in Organization Management from Ashford University. So, what do you think about it? If you think anything about it, call and let us know. With all the people running, do you think there's a greater chance of winning for the candidate that you like? And if you like a candidate, call us up and let us know why. If you've already made up your mind, many people have not already made up their minds. They are looking and trying to decide. But if you've made up your mind, we'd really love for you to call us and tell us why you like the person that you like and what it is that's going to drive you to vote for that individual. So give us a call. We are still experiencing mayhem in our community. Murder, robbery, irrational shootings are still taking place. And we've got to do everything that we possibly can to put a stop to this. I think the big thing that we can actually do is to have a way of providing relief for people. A lot of people operate under a great deal of anxiety. And sometimes just the least little thing will trigger a meltdown with them, or they will react in a way before they think. And a lot of people behave that way. That's why programs are so important. I was at the One Church, One Family program last night with Bishop Henry Williamson and a tremendous number of people from the CME Church, as well as from other churches, and they're doing a great job with that program. And not only in Chicago, where it started, but in many other cities around the nation. And I was fortunate that they let me participate, and we were very pleased to do so. Just a few days before that, I was with a group called Prevent Child Abuse, and it was an outstanding program where there's more and more emphasis being put on ways to try and save our children. We are still experiencing far too much violence. We're experiencing far too much mayhem. And we have large numbers of children who are frustrated, don't really want to go to school. They're not happy at school. And if you're not happy at school, that's when you're probably to have the largest numbers of dropouts, or the tardy rate goes way up, and kids don't care whether they're on time. If you don't want to go someplace, you don't really care whether you get there on time or not. So we continue to have large numbers of problems and issues in our society. And the only way to make them better is to be engaged and involved in efforts. You know, my daddy used to say, I'd much rather see a sermon than hear one any day. You see, I'd rather that you walk alongside me than just point the way. And so, you know, if you're doing something, that's a bit different than hearing something or telling something. That's why I often will say to people, don't walk in front of me because I don't necessarily want to follow. Don't walk behind me because I don't necessarily want to lead. But why don't you walk beside me? And let's be friends and colleagues. Let's approach this together. Let's do this together. And I do believe that the more we do of that, the more successful we're going to become with problem solving. The more successful we will become working our way beyond and out of many of these serious dilemmas in which we are confronted with problems that look as though we just can't solve them, that they're just too tough, they're too hard. But we can overcome if we get our minds across. I end with this little joke about a fella who had a horse that could jump across almost any ditch. And somebody asked him, said, Mr. Jones, how is it that your horse can jump across all these distances? And say, Mr. Jones said, once the horse gets his mind over, the rest is bound to follow. So once you get your mind over, the rest will follow. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.